Hello everyone, you're watching New World News Network. I'm Jamie Starr, and on this episode, which I'm calling Everyone is Cointel, or a shill, I'm going to address one of my least favorite things when it comes to conspiracy theorists and everything like that. I think a byproduct of finding out most of what you've been told about life, reality, and existence, when you start to find out that a lot of it is intentionally told bullshit for the sake of keeping you pinned in a certain function and activity and program, so to speak, whether it be political, religious, or even scientific, it people end up then starting to develop a distrust for everything, and then it's then why you have all of these, is Alex Jones Bill Hicks? Is Tila Tequila a cybernetic alien robot hybrid? Whatever. And I find all of these conspiracies to be rather fruitless because you judge a tree by its fruit, not what the roots of the tree are, basically, if you want to follow through with that analogy, which, I mean, basically means that, you're discrediting someone off of one simple thing. Oh, well, they might be married to a Jew. Me, for example, I have an uncle who works in Homeland Security. Does that mean I'm an insider with secret information trying to trick everyone into seeing something that goes along with the agenda? No, from what I talk about that that's obviously not true. Me and my uncle don't even speak. But again, you can draw these, point to this and then to that and say, haha, conclusion found, discredit everything they've ever said. And it basically makes it where you end up trusting no one, which on one level is good. I think above anything, you should trust yourself. Part of that problem, and this is why I have this graphic up, is I think people are putting too many eggs in one basket. They're looking for leaders rather than just taking in the information and the data. So the videos I wanted to cover in this one, I actually wanted to do a defense of one of my favorite video makers, Red Silver J, who I reached out to about possibly doing a collaborative video, a debate and stuff. But there's this video, and I saw this earlier in the day, and part of the thing is when you involve things like crisis actors and everything, anyone can start to seem like Cointel when they're reporting on news that isn't real, and that's the question. So I know some people, again, InfoWars, immediately they talked about the San Bernardino shooting, the report of 3 white men in SWAT gear and everything like that. But when the narrative about converted Muslims and everything starts to drive the thing, and if you can also battle them and take apart their actual narrative, like the gun control debate and everything like that, you might as well do that. There's no point in trying to go the extra step if they're just wrong in the first one. So let's go through this story, which I wanted to do a video about this story anyway, because I had an ex-girlfriend who tried to withdraw $10,000 from the bank, and she had to come back. She had to come back a week later, fill out forms, get basically government permission to even move around that much money. And I think it illustrates a thing that has started to surface where people are starting to hear that all of this money that people have when they're millionaires and billionaires and everything like that, that they don't really have it, that they can't withdraw cash amounts. It has to be kept within the system in the credit digitized thing, and you're having a bunch of these top billionaires and millionaires, when they pass away, their accounts are being drained, and presumably the money is just being redistributed and everything. But one of the videos I saw talking about this was talking about Shaq, for example, saying that if Shaq were to try to draw out $1 million cash without approval, he would face the same thing. It's part of the game or the system. But anyway, let's go to this video.
What did I tell you about Red Silver J? Mixing truth and lies, just like Alex Jones, just like all the shills out there. He's pushing this.
Which is also how most ideas get pushed. A good example of truth and lies would be the Zeitgeist movies, which I know were responsible for waking me and a bunch of other people up. But he has a valid point here. The Zeitgeist movies, the second two parts are what most people now accept as a truther movement narrative of what happened on 9/11 and where the New World Order is going. However, the first part about religion and equating all of it to astrotheology, that's all been debunked. A lot of the claims made about Osiris and Isis are not true. They're not found anywhere, and Egyptologists have looked into this and said they don't know where these claims are coming from. Same about the Greek and the Roman. They started to pull things and decipher things and take things out of context for the sake of backing up this narrative. And that's what goes on a lot when it comes to gun control, feminism, climate change, any of these. People have this preset idea in their head that they want to prove, so they only look for the proofs of it. So, anyway.
This detainment of black youngster as a real event. Doesn't he understand, of course, these people in the music industry are part of these psyops? Of course he does. But he's just an agent, just a shill, pushing fake as real. And like I stated so many times, it's very hard to make fake look real. Just look at this photo. I'm going to get a close-up. The problem is people don't pay attention to details. When they hear a story, they're outraged, and they let their emotions think for them. Let's take a look at this close-up. The cuffs are not even on him, but his arms behind him. What's the deal with that? Now again,
maybe he was cuffing him?
The cops and this woman here. And what do you see? They're smiling, laughing.
I mean,
because this is all staged, of course.
Now, I've been arrested for not having my ID, and I can say because of the circumstances of it, there was a warrant sweep, the cop had to check out my identity. The whole situation was relatively cordial. We were small talking, making some jokes. I'm sure if you were to pass by and took a picture of it, at some moment it might have looked like we were both smiling. Does that mean it was fake? No, it just meant I understood he was doing his job. He had to do certain procedures, otherwise he would be reprimanded. He even explained all of that. So trying to be like, haha, they're smiling. That proves it's all not real. Oh, the second cuff isn't all the way on. That again proves it must not be real. I mean, this is this sort of harboring in on details and everything, and I've never heard of Black Youngster or whatever his name is. So to just automatically assume he's a top Illuminati puppet pawn or whatever, yeah, I honestly think it's far more realistic to think that this is just some little kid that they gave a record deal to, and he doesn't know the rules of the game. He doesn't know you can't start cashing out that $1 million and flaunting it around. They don't want anyone withdrawing cash.
Also, like Red Silver J, understand it's nothing but a Disinfo agent, and he should be arrested for impersonating a truth speaker.
And this is the crazy thing, is, alright, so these people who are, you know, supposedly truth speakers and against tyranny want someone else arrested because they believe that he must be a government agent. And again, I really like Red Silver J's videos, but he's not getting millions of views yet, so to just come out and be like, oh, this person must be on the government payroll and everything like that. Again, they wouldn't need to do that if it's a fake story. And if it is a fake story, why does that then mean that Red Silver J is fake? He could just be duped by something that's fake news. I mean, we have these hoaxes. So it's just unnecessary persecution. It's a witch hunt for who to trust and who not to trust, rather than just looking at it and being like, either way, if it's this, it is this. If it's that, it is that. And just acknowledging them both and going from there. These people just want it set in stone, but don't want to trust anyone. For example, I had posted a Bill Nye meme about how there's very scientific backing for race and what really creates skin color and everything like that. And someone immediately just went, you can't believe him, he's a celebrity. And it's like, okay, so anything any celebrity says then gets thrown out of the idea of acceptable thought. What's then left to believe? Because I'm sure some celebrity believes everything. You see how useless thinking like that is? You then start to just, nothing's believable, and everything, you know, you can't trust any of it. Here's another video. Now this bothers me. I have seen people, when I'll be talking to them, I'll bring up, for example, the point about the Republican debates having Cruz, Rubio, Carson, having Hispanics, a woman, and a black, and saying, look, here's actual diversity. And people will go, well, a woman who doesn't support women's rights, abortion, isn't a real woman. So that means a woman who puts precedent on the life of an unborn child and wanting to protect that unborn child rather than giving a second chance to a woman who's made a bad choice, and a couple even who's made a bad choice, that's not a real woman. Or a black person who doesn't support liberal black Democrat policies is just a coon, and they aren't a real black person. And it's this fucking magical X-Men superpower these people have to just banish people from existence. You are no longer real. You don't exist. Because it puts their narrative and their identity so much at stake. So here's a video I found calling Red Silver J a conspiracy theorist, and it's a whole video of the pot calling the kettle black, because basically what they're saying is Sandy Hook can be a hoax and can be a psyop, but if it concerns black people, it can't be a psyop, because black people have been so hurt and everything like that. So
papers telling you this, the TV telling you this, your favorite radio personalities telling you this. So it's only right that you hear the other side, which is the real side.
now I don't know how he is.
Look at what's happening right now. These jokers just lost their family member. Ain't even went through the grieving process fully already. Already out the house. Already on TV, giving interviews, and they getting asked questions like this, and then they're answering them in the most monotone, robotic way that you ever could answer a question.
Out of it, how does this city go forward?
So dramatic with these expressions.
I think the city moves forward by what you're seeing with the last several days.
What? This is bullcrap. And they ain't the only ones doing it.
Now, here's the thing, is this person is saying there are different ways of dealing with things, different personality types. What Red Silver J is pointing out is everyone in all of these events are displaying the same type of off-grieving process. So, it's not this when you're crying, you're fake crying, but when you're crying, you're faking too. That makes no sense. And this one, this is a really great one.
You see how crazy this stuff is. These jokers asking for donations for a fake shooting. The Mother Emanuel Hope Fund. Let's scroll down. You see it. Scroll down to the bottom of your screen. Enter your mobile number so you can donate. Y'all want to donate? Look how much they done donated already. Let's see here. $55,884 already. So I guess that should be enough for the funeral. So I guess it's all good now. But wait a minute. Boeing done donated $100,000.
And you had the same thing go on with Sandy Hook, where millions of dollars ended up being laundered through different foundations set up after the event.
So that's $200,000 already, plus you added to this. But it still ain't over. What the heck is this? The government is going to give them $29 million. What the heck you need with $29 million? You already got all the other money from those other places. And now you're getting $29 million. I mean, how much does a funeral cost? How much does a funeral cost?
Now, here's where it gets
About
really
$6,000.
funny.
So what you got right here is the money to pay off the actors.
Because this person goes to this site,
How
and
much
where it
does a funeral
shows
cost?
funeral costs average $6,000, and then they go, but today it costs between $7,000 or $10,000. Like, oh man, they're off by $1,000. Can you believe them? Don't trust them. They
How
might
much
make
does a funeral
$1,000
cost?
difference when they just got handed $29 million and fucking however. Like, again, it's such a large amount and such a small amount, and the amount he said is so small off from the other amount that these videos
How
look
much does a funeral
so
cost?
desperate from repeating his voice clip, trying to make this seem like it's something discrediting when it's a completely reasonable mistake, if any mistake made, where it's so desperate. And this next part it gets into is going to be about the other churches in the area that were burnt down or other things
How
that
much does a
happened
funeral cost?
afterwards. And you find in most cases of arson, it's an inside job, and it's an inside job for insurance money. So $22 million is too much for highly publicized funeral where one of the deceased. Oh yeah, top 10 most expensive funerals. Fucking Michael Jackson, like, and this is the craziness of the world we live in. That because this became a high-profile shooting, it then whoever got shot in this church is supposed to be equivalent in our hearts to Michael Jackson, who gave his whole life to performing and entertaining people. I'm sorry, but the average churchgoer is not Margaret Thatcher. They are not Michael Jackson. It again, it's just seeming really crazy. And I guarantee you, the number one way you can tell if these shootings are real or not is if there even was a funeral. Michael Jackson's funeral was televised. Margaret Thatcher's, I'm sure, was probably covered on the news. Sandy Hook had no funerals. So you gotta wonder what they do with the dead body if there was no funeral service. And you would think for such a highly publicized event, you would have a highly publicized funeral. But you can't if there's no dead body. Oh, Sir Winston Churchill. I mean, again, which person in this church are we going to say is on par with Princess Diana? This is the insanity. And it's okay, so this discredits Red Silverjay for pointing out something completely logical, and you're backing up his point and trying to say, aha, you can't trust him. So this is the craziness that happens when you get in this mindset of everyone's lying, everyone's Cointel, they're all secret government agents out conspiring, and they're all shills and everything like that. Like
How much does a funeral cost?
Oh, Alexander the Great. Like, and this is the thing. This has to be told in context of Black Death, Black reparations, because his other videos, are on Sandy Hook and other videos that have. Why is the church open? This is, again, a completely reasonable question. Isn't it a crime scene? Don't you have forensics and DNA and all sorts of stuff to do? Like, you really cleaned it up in 9 days? I don't think it's discrediting anyone asking that.
Drill 100% fake. But let's just act like it's real just for a second. Okay? According to your story says that 9 people were shot dead in that church. We talking about that Emmanuel AME church. Now, they say the guy shot, he reloaded 5 times. You shoot 9 people, there's going to be a whole lot of blood in that there church. You mean to tell me that y'all so anxious to start the church service in the same exact church that 9 people were killed? Is the blood even dried up yet? Here go the pastor. Oh, now it's time. Now it's time to put in the offering. I know you're worried about the blood that's on the ground, but it done dried up. Around with that mud like LeBron James.
So, again, trying to...
Y'all know what happened yesterday? Why is this church open? Do y'all know what
And
happened
again,
yesterday?
desperate. Yeah, he's saying yesterday from when he makes the video. This is a thing they tried doing to Donald Trump, actually, when he had sent out a tweet and there was a period in it, and they tried running with it because he compared Germany and Paris, the attacks going on. And they immediately came out and were like, haha, Paris isn't in Germany, Donald Trump's an idiot, ha ha ha. And it's like, no, you're the
Do y'all
idiot
know
that
what happened
doesn't know that
yesterday?
a period ends a statement and starts the next statement on the other side of it. Like,
Do y'all know
basic
what happened
language is
yesterday?
beyond people.
Do y'all know what happened
Another
yesterday?
funny thing
Is the
about
blood even
decimals and
dried
all
up
that, I see
yet?
this meme going around about the Powerball, that if the Powerball, yeah, but in this 2 days, you would think the FBI would take their time with this. Last 40 bad hours, 72 hours, which is rare. Okay, so again, something we may not have known, but still, it does seem rather soon to me. As well, and that's, I feel like, a common sense question to be asking. But I saw this meme about the Powerball saying the Powerball is, 1.3 billion, there's 300 million people on Earth, and if you were divided up, everyone ends up with 4.3 million. And that's completely not true. Everyone ends up
So we're
with
gonna go ahead and look at the dash cam footage here.
$4.33. And it's a joke
Here go
post about
Dylan
Bernie
Stormbrook.
Sanders math. And
Look like he done gave
people are
up
posting it as if it's
with the low
real
speed
and
chase.
mathematically right. And you obviously have no idea
By
how
the way,
math
this is a
and
fake
division
shooting if you
works
didn't know.
if you would think that. But they just put forth warm,
Looking at what
fuzzy
they call
thought,
evidence
and
here.
the actual system of it doesn't have to add up to anything, and people will just go with it. On here, again, he mentions there being no timestamp. I myself would have thought
Yeah,
as
where the
that
timestamps
being
at? Did they recorded this with an old GoPro?
a weird thing, but I guess some areas
Yeah, where the
don't mandate
timestamps at? What they
timestamps.
recorded this with an
So
old GoPro?
again,
Supports the system.
something we didn't know. He goes on and shows
See how the system
how you had this
supports the
Texas
system.
judge who got
And they even
arrested for
failed to show
being
this footage
drunk and
of her in
driving
the
and
sobriety
everything like
test
that, and
wobbling around. Look
there
at
were
her.
no timestamps.
This
So
is a
okay.
hot mess.
It could have been fake as well,
Acting
though.
like they
We
didn't have
really don't
evidence
know.
that she was
Sometimes they
drunk.
need to put forth a
So you see
scapegoat.
this judge
So
gets off free.
either way, all these things are rather desperate. And like I said, it ends with them showing other churches in the area getting burnt down. And I assume that's because they probably thought they could have got a slice of that. Probably close to $30 million that was made off of that event.
Right, yeah, I've been getting
Here's
some
another
results,
video
so
where
just
people
check
just
out their
list
channels.
off people and they're
There's
like,
one
well,
dude,
you can't
right,
trust them because of their name.
The truth is, somebody is liked a lot of clips by somebody called the Truth Virus. The Truth Virus, yeah. The games are so obvious, man. Yeah. Right, like truth is a bad thing, right? What about this one? The scariest movies ever. That's about the gayest channel name ever. Yeah. Oh, it's ridiculous. There's one as well. Hooked on your hoax. Yeah. Hooked on a hoax. This is the kind of person that made up the thing hoax horse. Right? Hooked, like you're addicted to something. Yeah, like it's bad, like it's a bad thing.
No, you're adding a bad context onto
hook,
it.
I think a hook relates to Saturn as well, under the cross symbol.
This is again how.
But an H is the Greek X. An X on an X is the sigil for Lucifer.
Here, this H on a Greek X is the sigil for Lucifer, so you can't use the letter H anymore. You can't use a hook or anything like that because it might be related to Saturn, which means you're worshiping Satan, which means you can't use anything anymore, any shapes, no fucking pyramids, no squares, no nothing. We're abandoning it all, and it's squiggly lines. That's all we have are squiggly lines and blobs because everything else is evil, and it means that we're shills. And I mean, fuck, how fucking crazy does this person doesn't realize how crazy they sound, where it's like, this is the conspiracy theorist deep ledge, where it's like, you're just looking at the names and being like, scariest movie ever, and you don't give a shit what's on the channel, the context, the content, any of that. I put mine as New World News Network, a play on the New World Order, and the news that comes in the New World Order. So, I mean, you could say, oh, well, New World News Network, he obviously represents the New World Order, so discredit immediately. Like, this is silly. Oh, my God.
That, it's, free radio revolution. They're having a revolution against free radio. It's against
Who said it was against free radio? I mean, again, this guy's just poofing context into these things. Well, they said hooked, and hooked means bad in my mind, because now it's bad. Oh, revolution in free radio. So by this logic, if he said, I don't know, like, trapped radio revolution, would that then mean that they want the radio to be free? Like, I just don't even, oh my God, I can't put words to this.
And in the image you got Saturn's control over the Earth. He does rule the world, but he's declaring his side. Anyway, thank you for watching.
Maybe you're subscribing him a side, and that's the thing. These people are, they're these X-Men powers where we're all mind controllers and fucking telepaths, and we know who's having a racist thought and who can. I mean, fuck. You might as well just throw in the towel. And that's the thing. And that's why I think, this week you had Tila Tequila come out about the flat earth and saying she's a cybernetic android, Illuminati, robot, humanoid clone. And it's like, these are the theories that they're trying to now make the deep end and everything. And flat earth, I think, is great looking into it. I love researching it because it shows you how much of what we accept as fact that we don't know. We haven't seen it, we can't test it, we're just taking an institution's word for it. And whether it's right or wrong or somewhere in the middle or, whatever, it's still worth being talked about. I don't think anything should be off limits for conversation. But these guys are, I mean, they are the judging a book by its cover. If a YouTube channel was a book, and the name is the title, and the little picture on it's the cover, you see this guy immediately is just like, oh, well, I seen a picture of a pyramid, so that means they are representing sun structure, worship, Lucifer, Saturn, shill, disinfo agent. Like, I mean, you had to think about it. You could have a triangle in a picture, and automatically you're a secret government agent propagandist. If only it was that easy. That's all I could say. If only it was that easy, because billions and billions of dollars gets devoted into this stuff. And I tend to think that it does go more towards these alien, humanoid, whatever theories, and any theory that is in an object opposition to Christianity and even Judaism to some extent, but that's because in the Communist Manifesto and such, it outlines that they're opposed to Christianity, Catholicism, the family, and everything like that. Again, these battle plans of these are our enemies have been put out. You had Homeland Security come out and say that evangelists and like born-agains are one of their top enemies, and it's because their religion doesn't fit into the cookie cutter of the modern day politics and political correctness. So, you should always listen to people and actually listen, hear the data, hear the sensationalism, and notice when there's spin going on, because that's what you have, where you have people who are taking data, sorting through it, trying to figure out the lies and what's not lies. And then if someone gets anything wrong, you're automatically then denounced, and it's a day and age where, disinfo is at an all-time high, and it really just isn't helpful to just be saying, oh, well, this person got this one thing wrong, so they're now a secret Israeli, Russian agent, Vatican spy, whatever. It's going to happen. We're all human, and you shouldn't hold anyone to any standard you wouldn't want for yourself. I know when I was growing up as a teenager, I was pretty standard along the liberal Democrat line of thinking. And since then, I've kind of completely gone to the opposite because I see the problems in all of that train of thought. So, this episode, everyone's Cointel. I guess according to these guys, trust no one. Except them, though. They've got the right answer and the truth. And that's the thing. You should be wary of anyone who claims to be the sole holder of the truth. So, I hope you all enjoyed this episode.